Welcome to Bounce Back Stronger, the podcast that explores ways to find peace and purpose no matter what happens. I'm your host, Donna Ferris, and today we have one of my favorite podcasters and a repeat guest, Colleen Dixon, with us. A little bit about Colleen. Colleen, also known as Cosmi-Colleen, is the host of the weekly Awakening Astrology podcast, where she not only deciphers the cosmic forecast, but provides relatable and humorous parenting advice and life wisdom. I can't wait to get her take on what we can expect in the coming year. Colleen, thank you so much for joining us on Bounce Back Stronger again. I am so happy to speak with you and have you on the podcast.
Thank you, Donna. I'm so happy to be back here to see you and to be able to give your listeners a little bit of a preview into what we can expect for 2026, which I think will be better than what we had in 2025.
Yay. I'm raising my hands, people. So let's just go right in there. How do you explain the major influences we're going to see and the themes that we're going to see in 2026?
I would like to say 2025, just to recap from there, was very much a water year, which I'm sure if we go back to last year's episode, that's what I talked about. So this year was a very watery year. I don't want to say low vibrational year, but it definitely was one where we were just all lost in the waves, not really ready to take action or able to take action. Now, moving forward, 2026 is the year of fire. It is the
Mm,
year of beginnings. It is the year of passion. It is the year of getting your, can I swear? Getting your shit in
yes, you
order,
can
I
swear.
guess you could say. Okay, good. You could say that's getting your shit in order. So again, buckle up, people, because it is going to have much more fire energy, much more action than 2025 did.
Wow. And I felt like we had a lot of action, but I get the watery part. Like I think there was a lot of, there was a lot
Oh,
of grand water trines, right? That we had a lot of that kind of activity.
yeah, but we also had Mars retrograde in
Yes.
2025, which was a horrible way to start out 2025. Then we had Mercury and
Awful.
Venus retrograding in the sign of Pisces. We had Jupiter moving into Cancer. We did have the Grand Water Trine, which is a nice little peak at the end of 2025, but a lot of it was almost like again, things were happening around you that maybe you didn't like, maybe you didn't feel, but not really able to take the action to do anything about it. It was a very lost year. And this year, 2026, is going to be a very found year, but the beginning stages of what it's like to be found again.
Oh,
I would
nice. I love that.
and the transits, we already had a preview in 2025, the end of spring into late summer, which was Neptune ingressing into Aries, the beginning of the zodiac, and then Saturn ingressing into Aries, the beginning of the zodiac. And then in fall, they both retrograded back into Pisces for one last time. Neptune in both of our lifetime will never go back. It takes 165 years to go around the zodiac. We left Pisces, which is the end of the zodiac, more water energy. And now we're entering Aries, the beginning of the zodiac, with an outer planet, okay, and then another big slow moving planet of Saturn. So
Mm.
those are going to be two of the biggest transits of the year. So I have my dates here because there's so many dates, but I want to be exact. So we have Neptune entering Aries again, January 2026 until May of 2038. Now, again,
Wow.
in our lifetime, Neptune will never be in Pisces again. And once it leaves Aries, it will never be in Aries again in our lifetime. It takes
Mm.
roughly 165 years to go around the entire zodiac. And then we have Saturn ingressing on February 13th into Aries, the fire sign, and then it will be there till April 12th of 2028. So, collectively, what we all have been experiencing, Neptune has been in Pisces since April of 2011. And in that time, there's a
Mm.
lot of things I want to say. In Pisces at the end, there was the teardown of religion as we knew it, right?
Mhm.
But there was still this need for humans to experience something greater than themselves. Like, I feel like the Neptune and Pisces transit was just like the 60s, only in a much bigger way. All of a sudden, you had everyone being able or being open to trying to understand life outside of our five senses, right?
Yeah.
You have people like going and seeing shamans. You have plant medicine jumping up. Everyone was searching for spirituality. You had astrology, every sort of out of this world concept to what we had previously been open to just exploded. It exploded big. But at the same time, very Neptune and Pisces, there was also this energy in the collective of feeling lost. You can see the last 20 years, people are graduating college. They can't afford to live on their own. You can't really build life the way you used to be able to. And there's this feeling, who am I? Which is why there was so much greatness around being found. That was on the collective the last 18 years or so. Now we have Neptune entering Aries, and it's beginning with Saturn there for the first years. So this is going to be really big when it comes to recycling and starting over. There's always history there. So I feel like there is going to be way less lost and a lot more action. Though sometimes the action we can get a little bit ahead of ourselves. That's going to be really interesting twist on the astrology podcast, one of the podcasts I listened to, and I told you about. I was listening to last year's, and they were talking about the beginning of Neptune ingressing into Aries and how, like I said, astrology, people were really open to it over these last 2 decades since Neptune entered Pisces. But now a lot of astrologers believe that people are going to start like arguing astrology again. Like these more open concepts are going to be shifting. Wait, actually, that's not true. That's not real. These open concepts we have are going to close up a little bit collectively with Neptune entering Aries.
You can see that.
And the biggest players that are going to be feeling the astrology this year are going to be first and foremost my fire signs. So that is going to be Aries, that is going to be Leo, and that is going to be Sagittarius. And the number one reason is not only these two planets moving to Aries, but Jupiter will begin the end of June of this year, enter into Leo, the fire sign. And then we're still ending the eclipses of Virgo and Pisces, but this year we enter the eclipses with Leo and Aquarius. Yeah, so those are going to be the biggest players, my fire signs, which I believe you're what, a Leo rising, right?
I'm a Leo.
So
Yeah.
buckle up, baby. Jupiter in the first house. We'll have to talk later about what that is.
We will.
We will. That will be good. And then the other players are going to be my fixed sign energy, which is Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius, because the eclipses are beginning there. And like I said, with the eclipses, we now have Jupiter entering Leo. So of 2026, those are going to be the biggest players. My mutable energy are going to finally get a break. And you're mutable, I'm mutable. For those who are listening, that's my Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces. Even though Sagittarius is still in the mix, this is going to be positive for them because there's been a lot of hardships. The mutable, for 2 years, we've had the eclipse season, but we've had this eclipse season coupled with Saturn, which is not going to be as great as it is for my fire signs coupled with Jupiter. So that has been a lot of sacrifices, a lot of responsibilities maybe you didn't want to take on, again, added to that lost energy, breaking down boundaries. So my mutable placements, there's going to be a nice break and conclusion and closure this year for you guys.
Yay. Yay.
I was sharing last night with some friends who happen to all be mutable energy as well. And on my podcast episode this week, I'll talk about it. But when you're in eclipse season, when you're in your eclipses that are rocking your angular houses, it's like the domino effect. You see these changes happening around you, and internally you feel them. And you need to make the changes. But when eclipse season begins, it's that wonky energy where your internal side is saying, make this change, make this change. And your conscious side is, I'm not making it yet. Now my mutable placements are ending the year. We got 2 more eclipses, but those are more of the conclusion eclipses saying, okay, I'm jumping in to my future and I might have fear, but I'm doing it anyways. And I'm allowing myself in this uncomfortable energy of change and moving forward, which I like to add mutable signs do change the best. So for my mutable placements who've been going through it, we are now entering a new year of conclusions and being comfortable in the new change. You're going to be entering into your new paradigm, you could say, your new life shift changes. Now, my fixed signs, you guys are just beginning. So this will be a year of a little bit confusion for you guys and a little bit of tearing down so you can have a new rebirth.
And the fixed signs, just to remind everybody,
are going to be my fire signs, the biggest ones that are going to be feeling it. And that is going to be my Aries, my Leo, and my Sagittarius. My mutable placements I was just talking about who are concluding this year are going to be Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces. And the ones who are just beginning these new shifts and changes are going to be my fixed placements, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius.
Thank you. Thank you. That's so interesting. So, what are some of the things that we should be thinking about for personal growth or relationships for 2026? What could we encounter
So let
as
me
a result
talk
of the stars?
about first when it comes to your own personal growth within your career. When it comes to career, back to my fire signs, right? You're going to have a trine to Jupiter and a conjunction to Jupiter for Leos, and Sagittarius and Aries are going to have a trine to Jupiter. So you can expect your career path to grow. You can expect your belief in your career path to grow. This would be a good time for my fire signs. If you guys want to start a business, this is a good time to get it off the ground. Now, like I said, Saturn will also be there with Neptune for these next 2 years. So that's good at really creating a solid foundation.
Mm,
Now, like fire, sometimes you gotta slow down. So remember that, my fire placements. Make sure that everything makes logical sense and will have a nice firm ground. So if you are building something this year, go slow, go solid, go steady, because sometimes you fire placements could just woo right there and done and then implode before you even began, essentially. So slow and steady is going to be important, but they are going to see a lot of the growth within the career. In general, like I said, when it comes to our own personal growth for everybody, the collective, we are entering, like I had said, this fire year. Prior, it was a water year, which was very wonky, very washy, very not really sure which step you needed to take to make next. This year is the year of action, the year
mm,
of beginning. This is going to be a time where you guys are probably going to start actually something brand new and take off with it in a really big way. This is a time to bring in new ideas, new thoughts, innovation, not a time to go back to old things. Even if
mm.
it worked, or if it did work, you can go back to it, but maybe bring again a new, fresh idea to that.
Nice, nice. What about relationships?
So, relationships, because I wrote down the ones that are going to be going through the biggest relationships
Great.
shifts. This year, the end of 2026 is going to bring a Venus retrograde in Scorpio, then ingressing back into Libra. So, right away, that is going to be my Scorpio placements, my Libra placements, as well as Aries risings and Taurus risings, because the seventh house will be ruled by Libra and Scorpio. The seventh house is the house of marriage, long-term partnerships, those relationships we get into that are very long-lasting. That's where we go to for the seventh house. So those are going to be feeling it, as well as my Pisces and Virgo placements and my Virgo risings and my Pisces risings, because these are happening in your seventh. Like I said, we're ending eclipse season in the first house, which is the house of self, opposite the seventh house, which is the house of the other. So a lot of my mutable signs, but especially my Pisces risings, Virgo risings, probably over the last year have had a lot of relationship shifts. And so you can expect that something probably ended and something new is beginning. You may not see it till the very end, but those are going to be the people that are really feeling the relationship dynamics the
Mhm.
most this year.
Buckle up.
Buckle up. And Venus retrograde is always interesting as well. Last year's was very watery because we had it in Pisces, but having it in Scorpio and Libra are really going to bring out the darker tones to love
Hmm.
relationships. And having Saturn and Neptune and Aries as well, Mars's other sign, I think it's going to bring about a little bit more of the obsession, the things that like those darker undertones to our relationship dynamics that we have to figure out, especially if we want to quit. Most of our better or for worse relationship patterns play out in relationships. So we got to look to the darker side. So I think it's going to be around our attachment styles and why do we pick the people we pick? Why do we attach to love the way we attach? It's going to be like that. Versus like when Venus retrograde and Pisces was a little bit like fantasy, otherworldly, just like being in love or understanding love with a very naive vision. Now, this next retrograde is going to be like, okay, why do I go about love in this certain
This
way?
way. Yeah, it's going to release the shadow.
It's releasing the shadow, baby.
So I have to look at time. So what did I miss? We did relationships, we did career, we did the major influences.
I don't think you missed anything, but I just want to state all the transits again that are happening for 2026. So here we go. So we have on January 26th, We have Neptune ingressing, which is also, for those of you who don't know the astrology term, is also entering Aries January 26th, then Saturn ingressing into Aries on February 13th. So those are two of the biggest transits taking off. Now, here are some other things that are going to be happening. We have Uranus re-entering Gemini on April 25th, and that will be there until August 3rd of 2032.
Wow.
Jupiter enters Leo June 29th, 2026, and will be there until July 25th, 2027. And so
Wow.
Jupiter transits about a year, some maybe a week or two over a year sometimes, but is in each sign. So we got that happening. Then, like I said, the nodes enter and shift into Leo and Aquarius June 29th, 2026. They enter there, and then that will take off for 18 months. But we will still have one more eclipse in Pisces in the Virgo season. We'll have that, and then we will have one more eclipse in Virgo in March. And then Venus retrograde in Scorpio through Libra, October 3rd through November 13th. Again, maybe my water signs will be scared of the fire, but I'm looking forward much more to this year's astrology and kicking it off than we just had in 2025.
That's so good to know.
Yes,
So
so good.
optimistic.
So
Yay.
honestly, and I remember when we went over it last year's, you were a little bit like, all right, can we be a little bit more positive about 2025?
And you were right. You were
I
right
was
about
right.
all of
I
it, though.
was like, I want to be, but I just didn't think it was going to be very positive the way it's kicked off. But a lot of us spent a lot of time internally looking at ourselves. And there's
Yeah,
the positive because you tend to not look at yourself when you're in the good, right? You're just like, okay,
that's right.
life is good. You really only start to look at yourself when life isn't good or things aren't
That's right.
happening. So there's the beautiful shifts and changes that happen.
I can't think of a better way to end the podcast. Thank you so much, Colleen. It's so good to be with you.
And thank you for having me on. And listeners, I love your podcast. I'm going to shout out your podcast, and it's been really cool watching you grow and continue. And here you are on episode, what
I think
episode?
this will be this I'm going to be doing 83 this week.
Hell yes. Amazing. You cannot stop. That is so huge. And I'm proud of you. And thank you again for having me on here. And thank you to your listeners.
Oh, thank you. And you guys got to listen to the Weekly Awakening podcast. It's a must listen. So much fun. And we didn't even talk about parenting stuff, but it's all in there. So thank you so much.
Aw, thank you. Mwah.
Mwah! That's all for today. If you want to learn more about Colleen's podcast, or if you are interested in speaking with her to get an astrology reading, those links will be in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this episode was helpful. If it was, please subscribe, drop a review, or share it with your friends and family. That's the best way to get it in the hands of those who may benefit. And if my daughters Sienna and Sylvia are listening, I just want you to know how proud I am of you. And I love you so much. Bye now.